Okay, folks, today we are going to talk about arithmetic sequences. Before we get started, let's just look at what a sequence is. A sequence is just a list of numbers in math. And the arithmetic sequence, actually, they have a special pattern. They have something called a common difference. And we'll talk about what that is. And they use the letter D to stand for that because no one wants to keep writing common difference. Okay, the common difference is basically the number you add to get from one term to the next. And let's go ahead and try this. We see it in theory here. Let's actually see it in reality. We have this series, 2, 4, 6, 8. So think about what the next three terms would be and write them down. Okay, hopefully you've got 10, 12, and 14 there. And the pattern here, how do we get from one term to the next? What is it we do to 2 that gets us to 4? And we do the same thing to get from 4 to 6 and the same thing to get 4 to 8. What number do we add to get from term to term? And the answer is 2. For this sequence, for this list of numbers, D, the common difference is 2. They're all 2 apart. Let's try another one. Go ahead and see if you can get the next 3 terms and the common difference. So in this case, the terms look like they're going down by 1. So our pattern would be to be minusing 1, or you could think of it as adding a negative 1. So our D, our common difference, is negative 1. And the last one of these, okay, and I think the pattern there was to add 4. So 4, positive 4 would be our common difference. Okay, so let's look at, I do have one more. Let's do one more. Get those next 3 terms and find the common difference. Pause me if you have to. And then your common difference, pause me if you have to. To get from one term to the next, we're adding a negative 5, or you can think of that as subtracting 5, so our common difference is negative 5. So that's one thing we'll have to do on our homework. All right, now we need a little vocabulary here. What in the world is an nth term? Well, I'll tell you right now, an nth term is just any term. It can be any term. If I were to write A1, that just means the first term. The first term of this sequence is 100. That's our A1. And if we say A2, that's just your second term. The second term of this sequence would be first one. That's the second one. Our second term, our A2, would be 95. And this is just talking about, hey, I want to be able to find any term. Maybe it's the third, the fourth, the fifth, I don't know, the 3,000ths, whatever it is. This is something that we just call the nth term. Okay, so let's move on to the next stuff. Given the nth term formula, okay, suddenly sounds scary, but don't let it scare you, okay? The nth term formula, we're going to find the next 5 terms. All right, so here we go. To find the first term, remember n, the nth term represents the term you want. So if we want the first 5, that means we have to find the first term. So all you're going to do is plug a 1 in for n. And let's see, the first term looks like it should be 4 minus 1 is 3. Find the second term, we're going to plug in a 2. So go ahead and finish up and pause me and find all those terms. 8 minus 1 is 7. 12 minus 1 is 11. 16 minus 1 is 15. So we're just plugging in those n values. Okay, And it looks like I kind of used this and we generated these terms, huh? So we're kind of finding that and using the nth term formula, looks like, for this particular series. Kind of neat. Okay, so let's get our terms written down. 3, 7, 11, 15, 19, and that's it. Alrighty. And those are our first 5 terms. And we're going to just talk a little bit about some terminology. For this series, for the sequence, what is our first term, our A1? And for this sequence, what is our common difference? Just to kind of get you working on this stuff. And the answer is 4. If it has a common difference, the same thing you keep adding, it is an arithmetic sequence. And notice where that 4 shows up, the common difference. Every one of these. Okay. And we just did that part. So this would be, yes, an arithmetic sequence because it has a common difference. That's what makes it so. Okay, let's move on to something else here. The next question I have for you, and this is the third and last part of this video, the next question is, and something you'll have to do on your homework, is how in the world do we find that nth term formula? If you look back at this nth term formula that they gave us, 4n minus 1, totally took us back to this series, one of the series we started with. But how would I know that? What if they give me a series and ask me for an nth term formula? What am I going to do then? And that's what this third question is. So we're going to take this in some 3 small steps here, okay? So the first step we'll call part A, right? We want to find the 10th term of our own series. And let's just look at that. Okay. So if we want to find, and I'm taking baby steps, the 10th term of our own series, we have a couple choices. We could just keep adding numbers, right? That would be fine if we wanted to do that. That's not a problem. It's not really efficient, but we could do it. So I'm going to label these. This is our first term, our second term, our third term, our fourth term. This will be our fifth, our sixth, our seventh, our eighth, our ninth, and holy cow, finally, our 10th term. And you can just keep adding 4 there if you want to, all the way to get to the 10th term. I'm fine with that. We get 19, 23, 27, and 4 is 31, and 4 is 35, and 4 is 39. Okay, our 10th term is 39. Okay, that's all well and good unless, like I asked you to find your 512th term. You really don't want to do that, adding that 4 that many times. So let's look at this. Our 10th term here is basically our first term, right? This one. But we're going to add the common difference. The common difference was 4. Now, this is the key. How many times do we have to add 4 to get from the first term to the 10th term? Well, let's try it. Plus 4, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The 9th time we add 4 will give us our 10th term. Okay, kind of interesting. The 10th term, you have to make 9 little hops from the first term to the 10th term. Notice if you wanted to go from the first term to the 4th term, you're only taking, let's see, 1, 2, 3 little hops, right? 1 to 4. 4 minus 1 is 3. 10 minus 1 is 9. It tells you how many hops you're going to need. And we can write this very mathematically. It's much faster. This is all written out and blah, blah, blah. But in math, you could say that the 10th term is equal to the first term plus your common difference 9 times. And that's 9 times d is 9 times. And remember, this is just 10 minus 1. 10 minus 1. Your first term to your 10th term takes 9 hops. And then it's pretty easy. We know our first term is 3. We know our common difference is 4. And we know we're going to have to add 4 9 times. And if you look at this, 4 times 9 is 36 plus 3. Oh my goodness, we got there without actually writing out all the terms. I didn't need all these ones in the middle. I could have gone from here to here if I knew it took me 9 hops. Okay, so let's look at a second part of this and try to find the 100th term. And this is when it's very, very inefficient to add 4 100 times, calculator or not. You're going to lose count, right? Or however many times you need to add it, you're going to lose count. So let's just think about this. The 100th term, we could start at the first term, and we're going to add the common difference. How many times? How many hops would it take to get from the first term to the 100th term? And the answer is 100 minus 1, right? Just like from the first term to the 10th term was 10 minus 1, right? We're just going to subtract these two. And now we can just fill stuff in. The first term is 3. The common difference is 4. And this is 99, right? Or you can leave it as 100 minus 1. It's okay with me, but I'm going to write it as 99. And if we take 4 times 99, that's 396 plus 3 is 399. You can use a calculator. I just like challenge myself. And so our 100th term would be 399. And we did it a lot faster than if you tried to hit the plus 4 button 99 times to get from the first term to the 100th. Okay, so let's try the last one. Now we're finally going to learn, and then I'll shut up, how to find the nth term formula. And here we go. In general, the nth term, any term you want, can be found by taking the first term and adding your common difference. And remember what we did here? We did 10 minus 1 to get 9 times. We did 100 minus 1 to get 99 times. All we're going to do in this case is take our n minus 1. And that is really a great general formula. You might want to write this down to find an nth term formula. And I'm going to put nth term formula. And they call this an explicit formula on your homework. That's what they want. If they're asking for an explicit formula, this is what they want. Only we're going to have to fill stuff in. For our particular series that we've been working on, our first term was 3. We've said that a few times, right? There it is right there. 3 plus the common difference, which was 4, times n minus 1. And if you just distribute and combine some like terms here, I'm sorry, I put this in the wrong spot. There we go. If you just distribute and combine some like terms, you can come up with 4n minus 4, so it's 4n minus 1. And you can do that distribution and check me on that. Now, on the homework, they don't use this an notation. Most books do, but they didn't on the homework. They just use f of n. So please know that these two are both representing the explicit formula for the nth term of a series. Okay, when they say explicit formula, this is the part of your video you should review and your notes. Okay, folks, that's all I have for now.